Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin the speaking program around 1:15. If you could be in your seats at 1:10, but feel free to continue to mingle until that time. Thank you so much.
Nobody's outside.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please take your seats, we'll begin momentarily. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank everybody for being here. The family members and the loved ones, the first responders, our state's best, all of our local elected officials, all of our state leaders, all of our federal partners. I know the Maryland congressional delegation couldn't physically be here today, but I know they're not just with us in spirit, but they've been with us every step of the way. Thank you to all the port workers and the people who continue to make the Port of Baltimore the most remarkable in this country. And this morning, we return to a solemn place. We return to the water's edge. 2 years after a day that changed our state forever. Things look different, but the memories of that March morning, they remain as clear as ever. We remember looking out and seeing an enduring piece of the Baltimore skyline. A skyline, frankly, that has been there ever since I've been alive. That was then laying on top of a ship. A ship that was the length of 3 football fields. We remember the shock. We remember the sorrow. We remember the prayers that echoed all across the state of Maryland when our state woke up and realized the tragedy that had just taken place. And most of all, this morning we remember 6 patriots. People who worked while we slept. People who at that moment were unaccounted for. And the only ask that their families had was never forget about our family members. To the families of the victims, I know there is no words that we can say that can take away your grief, because the 6 victims of the Key Bridge collapse should be here right now. Rolian, Ronial, Castillo, Cabrera, Carlos, Daniel, Hernandez, Estrella, Alejandro, Hernandez, Fuentes, Miguel, Angel, Luna, Gonzalez, Jose, Menor, Lopez, Menor, Yacir, Suazo, Sandoval. All of them should be here now. But they're not gone from the hearts of all of us, and they're not gone from the hearts of all of those who love them. Viven en nuestros corazones. No pasa un día sin que pensamos en ustedes. Los vemos, estamos a su lado y aquí estaremos ahora y siempre. March 26th, 2024 is etched forever into the story of Maryland. But not just because of the horror of that morning. It's etched in our memories because of the heroism. It's etched in the memories that in the faces of one of the worst tragedies in our state's history, it was Marylanders who stepped up to serve, who were woken in the middle of the night, and were some of the first ones in the water, who were the ones who were making sure that people would stay off of the bridge. It's the firefighters who ran towards the danger before they even had a full understanding of what the danger even was. They just did it because people needed help. There was the private sector and the philanthropic groups who supported our people and who said, let us know how we can serve. It was the leaders at our local and our state and our federal levels who worked not just around the clock, but who worked in partnership, because that's what that moment required. There were no guarantees that we were going to be successful in the work that we were doing. The only thing we knew that morning was that we were now looking at a catastrophe that this state had never seen before. But we stayed together. We stayed focused. We never forgot about those who we were searching for and eventually lost. And we showed the country what it meant to be Maryland tough and Baltimore strong. We faced enormous obstacles of twisted steel, a river of uncertainty, livelihoods at risk. But the skeptics could not stop our people. When they said clearing the channel would take 11 months, Maryland got it done in 11 weeks. When the experts said that reaching a 70% design build could take 5 to 7 years, we got it done in 14 months. When the experts said that it could take years just to get permitting done, we got it done in months. And when forecasts showed job losses at the Port of Baltimore, port workers ended up handling a record number of containers in 2025 and actually added jobs. We remain committed to rebuilding the Francis Scott Key Bridge with intentionality, with speed, and with safety. And I will work with anybody to make sure that we see that happen. In January, I met with U.S. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, and as Secretary Duffy has noted, this is the fastest moving large infrastructure project in the United States, and we plan on keeping it that way. The Dolly struck the Key Bridge during my tenure. Yet, I plan on being the governor who cuts the ribbon to reopen the Francis Scott Key Bridge. At a time when too many people wonder whether building big and great things is still possible in our country, Maryland, once again, is going to lead the way and show what is possible. We will continue to recover, we will continue to rebuild, and we will continue to do it together. And we'll keep moving forward until a new Key Bridge arches over Baltimore's stunning skyline once again. May God watch over the victims. May God keep his eternal protection over them. May God keep these families of ones who are lost in his almighty hands. May the Lord continue to shine grace and comfort over our great state. And may this state continue to show the country what right looks like. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. And with that, I'll turn it over to my partner in the work, our Lieutenant Governor, Aruna Miller.
Thank you, Governor Moore. Good afternoon, everyone. They say that some days pass quietly and some days stay with us because they ask something of us. March 26, 2024 was one of those days. I will never forget the MDTA first responders who ran toward danger, the divers who entered dark, uncertain waters without hesitation, and everyone from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to our elected leaders, local organizations, to the construction crews, and to so many others who showed up day after day, determined to rebuild. And I remember Governor Moore, a steady hand and a compassionate leader, guiding our state through one of the most difficult moments in our state history. Governor, thank you for your leadership then and now. When I was in engineering school, I was taught that when you design roadways, bridges, and infrastructure, you don't design for the average day. You design for the day you hope will never come. But sometimes the worst day still comes. And on that day, families lost loved ones, men who came to work and never made it back home. Steel and concrete gave way, and our iconic Key Bridge collapsed. But watching how Marylanders met that moment, I learned something that no textbook can ever teach. That some things can never be engineered. The strength of a community that refuses to break. The human spirit, that you don't design. You witness it, you watch it rise, and you see it in the people. Today, 2 years after the tragic incident, we pause to remember those we lost. We stand with their families in grief and in love, and we honor the workers whose hands and hearts are rebuilding what was taken from us. We continue the work to rebuild. This will be Maryland's first cable-stayed bridge, over 2 miles long, designed higher, stronger, safer, with 230-foot clearance to support modern shipping. Crews are driving massive steel piles, some more than 200 feet long and 8 feet in diameter, deep into the riverbed to anchor the new bridge. Foundations are being built with tens and thousands of concrete, each footing the size of 2 basketball courts. And this project is advancing, as you heard from the governor, at a pace faster than any other bridge projects across the country. So yes, we will rebuild the bridge with urgency and with the highest standards, because the people of Maryland deserve nothing less. 2 years ago, we faced the day that we hoped would never come. And today, we're doing what Marylanders do. We rebuild, we rise, and we move forward together. Now I'd like to invite the dynamic county executive from Baltimore County, Kathy Klossmeyer, to share some remarks with us.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I don't know if I'm going to be as dynamic as you're saying, but I'll try my best. And thank you for your comments, and thank you, Governor Moore, for your really just put it all out there for the entire day of and what we're really doing for as a state. So thank you very, very much. But thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say a few words today. And before I go any further, I just would like to say I think I see one of my councilmen back there, Izzy Patoka, and did I see Julian Jones? So I would be remiss if I did not say that. So, but thanks for the opportunity to say a few words. And I think everybody in this audience is probably thinking in their mind what you would say coming today. And I bet everybody in this audience would remember where they were when we heard about the tragedy. I know exactly where I was. I know exactly who I was talking to. And it just broke my heart. So, but when the bridge was first opened in 1977 until 2 years ago, it's been a constant figure that has towered over our waterways. And I can remember even all the way out in Fullerton, Perry Hall, on the top of the hill, you could see it. You could always, you got to the crest of the hill and you would see it and think, Boy, that's a beautiful bridge, and it did so much for everyone. So for so long, the Key Bridge was a symbol of opportunity that connected places like Turner Stations and Hawkins Point and other bright new opportunities. Losing the Key Bridge 2 years ago left a hole in our hearts and in the sky. But despite this tragedy, our region rallied together to begin the important work of cleaning the site, rebuilding the bridge, and helping everyone who was affected. Today, we're grateful to move forward with purpose and determination. This anniversary is an opportunity to stand together as one community, united by our resolves to rebuild this bridge and honor those that we lost. And we will do it faster than any other bridge in the country. To the first responders who acted immediately and put themselves in danger to help people, we are deeply grateful. To all the port workers, how you all rallied together and really made sure that the waterways were open. And to the 6 lives we lost that day, 6 community members who were working to make this bridge and our region stronger, we will always remember and honor them. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and we cannot forget them. And please always keep their families in your prayers as well. At this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence, and so we can reflect on the legacy together, just for a minute. And thank the Lord for all that He's done, and thank you. And I am proud of the work we're doing to rebuild, and I'm grateful for everyone's support today. So thank you very much. And Stuart, yeah, okay, come on up here. And next we have Anne Arundel County Stuart Pittman, the CE there.
Thank you.
Dynamic too.
Thank you, County Executive Klaus Meyer. And thank you, Governor Moore and Lieutenant Governor Miller. You know, when I went to bed on March 25th, 2024, I would not have believed if somebody had told me that before dawn I would be on the phone with our governor, with Mayor Scott, and County Executive Olszewski, now Congressman Olszewski, with my police chief who's here, Amal Awad, with my fire chief who I was told was here, Trish Wolford, I believe, and that I would be up here in the morning amidst a group of incredible public servants who were starting right away and getting to work. The world looked at Maryland and saw what Maryland tough, Baltimore strong is, and then we Americans found out that 6 workers on the bridge had died. And I later found out that they had come to this country from Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and El Salvador. Just like my ancestors came to this country looking for a better life, and most of yours did as well. I got to know the family of the Anne Arundel County resident. By the way, we're right over there on the other side of the bridge, just to the south. Miguel Luna, his wife Maria del Carmen, who ran and runs a small business selling delicious Salvadoran food from a truck. I was able to attend Miguel's memorial service and was struck by the heart, the soul, the hard work, the passion of the Salvadoran community in Anne Arundel County, and just so blessed that they are here. So to the families, yo quiero decir a todas las familias, te queremos, aquí en nuestro condado, in el estado de Maryland. Unfortunately, some of those families are not going out in public a whole lot these days. But in Maryland, we celebrate them. I want to thank Governor Moore in particular for the way that he led. I attended a number of meetings. I was honored and surprised to be invited to these meetings where the governor and other local officials and the lieutenant governor were peppering the team, the Coast Guard, Army Corps, State Transportation, State Police, with questions and getting answers and figuring out how to cut through the red tape, how to move more quickly than has ever been done to make sure that we were meeting with this moment with the sense of urgency and the creativity that it would take to get the job done, of clearing the channel and then of moving the project forward. I was out there this morning, the governor, folks from Maryland Transportation, and getting briefed on the progress. I've been at previous meetings about that as well. And it is extraordinary it's extraordinary how long it takes to build a bridge in the United States normally. Years and years and years and years. And I've looked at charts and compared where we are compared to where they are. And ours is moving faster than anybody else's in the country for a bridge of this magnitude. They decided to do designing and building at the same time to move things forward quickly. They've expedited everything and had incredibly complex revenue sources to get the job done that have to be blended. And every one of those revenue sources, some coming from lawsuits, some coming from federal government, has to be managed according to the rules. And there are microscopes on this project from everywhere. So I believe this is the most transparent project that I've ever seen in my life, public project. And I just want to thank all of you who are working on it, that we are moving as quickly as we are. We had a moment of silence out there, and what was not silent was the hammer driving those pylons into the ground. You can hear them now. So I want to make sure that we always remember what happened on that day, and that we remember the 6 men who lost their lives, and that we embrace their families. I hope that we're working on a memorial idea that is permanent. We have a wonderful memorial that the families put together that is temporary. And we have a beautiful park Fort Smallwood, from which you can see the bridge, and a wonderful place to stand and remember what happened there, and to look at the beautiful new bridge that is going to happen while our governor is still in office. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today we reflect and remember the moment that changed Maryland. We remember the victims and their families. We remember the first responders from near and far who showed up 2 years ago and returned day after day. Today we thank Governor Moore for his steadfast leadership on navigating Maryland through troubled waters and showcasing the Port of Baltimore's resilience. We also thank all of our local, state, federal, and private partners. Together, we are showing the world that Maryland can accomplish great results when we work with each other. The collaboration between everyone, including our fantastic federal delegation, many of whom are not here today because they're in Congress voting, has only grown stronger with the passing days and months. The Maryland Transportation Authority and Executive Director Bruce Gartner have done a tremendous job getting the project ready for construction, and as you hear in the background, the sounds of progress. We are working at breakneck speed to rebuild the Key Bridge and make the region whole again. As the new bridge begins to emerge from the Patapsco River, the Maryland Department of Transportation is committed to engaging with the communities and providing commuters with relief across the region. We know the Key Bridge will rise again to serve as Baltimore's gateway, and it will also be a bridge to our future. Thank you so much. Now it is my distinguished honor to welcome one of Maryland's finest first responders who led his team through the tragedy and whose officers saved lives that night. Please welcome MDTA Police Chief Colonel Joseph Scott.
Good afternoon. To the Honorable Governor Wes Moore, thank you. 2 years ago, Marylanders awakened to the news that the Francis Scott Key Bridge had collapsed. And in that awakening, they also had fear and doubt and fear of the unknown. And what Governor Moore became, he became that very light in the dark place. He also became the peace in the midst of the storm. So for that, sir, I thank you. I'm truly honored to stand here today and speak on behalf of the first responders. 2 years ago, our state experienced something we never experienced before. The collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge was not just a headline, it was personal. It affected people, family, and all who served the community. Today we pause to remember those who were lost, but also to honor the resilience, unity, and strength that followed. On that day, lives were impacted, families were changed, communities were shaken, and a vital piece of infrastructure, something that connected people, commerce, and opportunity, was gone. But in the face of that devastating time, something powerful emerged. First responders came from far and wide. Different agencies with different roles, without hesitation. No one stopped to ask the question, why? People showed up ready to serve. I remember how the focus was on the people who were on the bridge. Every decision was about doing everything possible to protect and save lives. There was urgency, without a doubt, but there was also a deep level of care behind everything we did. I remember the teamwork, people who were working side by side, hand in hand, who never met each other before. There was a trust, communication, a shared understanding that we were all in this together. And I will never forget the support from the communities, the messages, the outreach, community members showing up at police headquarters. It reminded us as first responders of why we do what we do. For the first responders community, this was more than an operational challenge. It was a test of who we are. We defined it with humanity and how we cared for those who were impacted and how we cared for one another. We defined it with skill and how we responded, stayed focused, and did our job. And we defined it with grace during one of the most difficult moments that we had ever faced. Over the past 2 years, we have strengthened coordination across agencies and remained focused on serving people, because this moment reminded us of something very important. Our infrastructure is not just steel and concrete, but it represents connections, livelihoods, and trust. And trust is something we can continue to build on each and every day. So today, we come to remember, but we also understand we have a responsibility. We continue to protect and serve, and to show up for each other and the people who count on us every day. But on that day, first responders, we became one. And for that reason, I pray that we never, ever forget that day. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to introduce Maryland Port Administration Deputy Executive Director, Mr. Brian Miller.
Thank you, Colonel Scott. Governor, thank you for your leadership during the hardship and time that we went through. Much appreciated, sir. On behalf of Executive Port Director Jonathan Daniels, who is currently on the road right now securing more business for the Port of Baltimore, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today to represent the Maryland Port Administration and the Port of Baltimore. I join everyone in remembering the 6 men who lost their lives 2 years ago. When the dolly slammed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge in the early morning hours of March 26th, we had no idea how long the Port of Baltimore would be impacted. Our main shipping channel was blocked for 11 weeks, and ships that were destined to come to Baltimore to bring business to our state, to support tens and thousands of jobs, were instead diverted to other ports. 2 years later, we continue to feel the impact of this tragedy. But thanks to Governor Moore's leadership and the overall resiliency of our port partners, ILA longshoremen, truckers, and the overall supply chain, we're making great strides in our recovery. Happy to say that just last year, we set a new record for the largest number of containers to come through the Port of Baltimore, our second best year for handling cargo, which is a testament to the port community after what we went through. The Port of Baltimore will continue to progress forward in its recovery and more than ever support its mission of generating jobs, well-paying jobs, in Maryland through waterborne commerce. Thank you, and I turn it back over now to the governor of the greatest state in the country, Maryland.
We have time for a few questions. Just raise your hands because it's loud. All right. Yep, you. Yep.
I'm so sorry. It's okay. It's okay.
So you talked about building this bridge fast and safely and whatnot, but there are some people in the community who say that it's going too fast, and they wanted the design to incorporate what they call 21st century things like bike lanes. And I was just wondering if you could speak to those concerns.
Thank you so much. Should I repeat the question? It's okay. So thank you for the question, and it's a concern that people are saying that we are building fast, but some people are saying that we're building too fast, that there are other things that we want to be able to get done, and they want us to kind of slow the process down. I genuinely understand the concern, and one thing that I'm very proud of this entire team, that we are working in very close coordination with the community, working in very close coordination with the communities that are the most directly impacted, communities like Dundalk and Turner Station. And we also know that speed and efficiency and intentionality and safety are still the priorities. That the promise that we made to the people of Maryland, the promise that we made to the people of this country, and the promise that we made to Congress, who authorized the 100% cost share that we now have with Congress, is that we are going to make this the fastest moving large project in this country, and we plan on standing by that. We know that the build that we are doing is a cable stay bridge, and that cable stay bridge, which was highlighted earlier, the importance of doing the design and the build at the same time, was that we know this bridge is going to be a bridge that is going to meet all safety requirements for 2026. We know that this is going to be a bridge that will be able to withstand the type of ships and the size and the enormity of the ships that are now moving, which are different than the size of the ships that we saw back when this bridge was completed in 1977. But the commitment that we have is that we are going to do something with a speed that this moment requires, and also, frankly, a speed that the Port of Baltimore requires. That this is one of the core arteries to one of the most important ports in this country, and so we have a fundamental, not just commitment, but an obsession to make sure that we get this done in partnership with community, but get it done quickly, efficiently, and safely. Thank you.
All right, I see you with the hand raised.
Absolutely. I'll take it initially, and then Madam Secretary, you want to, or Bruce after that. So the decision to do a design build was really about how do we focus on speed and cost effectiveness. But one thing that we knew was that we had to be able to move quickly. So we worked in partnership with our partners. We were able to cut the red tape and streamline the process, where it is true that getting to a 70% design build can take up to 5 to 7 years. This extraordinary team got it done in 14 months. And so there's been a historic speed that we've been able to move at, but we have not at all had to compromise safety. We've not at all had to compromise design within that process, because those were tantamount to anything else that was happening.
Good afternoon, Bruce Gartner, Executive Director of MDTA. On the progressive design build model, it's a very safe model. The design build has been around for a long time in the country. What the engineers were able to do here is work closely on that design with the contracting team, so they know what is going in the riverbed here, starting from the ground up. So you have a lot of decisions, early decisions made. You lock those in, you keep going. So that is how this project has progressed. That's why you're seeing early works in the river right now before we finalize that. Yeah, so we are just in that process. We'll be getting those the negotiations underway very shortly here within the next few weeks. Yes. Yeah, we are following a pretty standard process. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, last one over here in the zip line. You talk about your relationship with this administration and how it's different from the Biden administration.
Yeah, we've been very grateful that Secretary Duffy and the Department of Transportation have been wonderful partners throughout this. You know, we're not just working very closely with them on this, we're working very closely with them on the American Legion Bridge, and it's Secretary Duffy who has indicated that this is the fastest large project that is taking place in the United States of America. And so the people of Maryland know that I will work with anybody, and we're always going to put the people of Maryland first. We are not going to let anything else get in the way of supporting our folks, and we're glad that Secretary Duffy and the Department of Transportation have been good partners in that. Madam Secretary, why don't you also address that?
I want to also acknowledge that one of our very important federal partners is in the audience today, and as the governor said, we have a strong partnership. We are open and transparent about the data and the costs and the risks associated. We wouldn't be able to move forward in the timely fashion that we are without that important partnership, and thanks to Governor Moore's leadership, we're in constant dialogue with the highest levels at US DOT.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Colonel Pinchay said.
Yeah, but I think the gentleman who is he with